if you want to understand why this is wrong, let me suggest the following. So think about the Pigot effect. So what fraction of your wealth is held as money? Maybe it's a lot because maybe you don't have much savings. But think about someone who saves. So think about maybe your parents, if they have savings, what fraction of that do they actually keep as money, as cash? Cash or a deposit in a current account or checking account. What fraction do you think of their wealth would be in that form? Probably not a lot. There are other investments like bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds, which make up a much larger fraction of wealth than actual raw cash. So why does the Pigot effect only refer to money? It works ultimately by affecting wealth, but why refer to the smallest, probably what is the smallest fraction of wealth? It seems perverse that if you wanted to explain why wealth gets changed by prices, why would you focus on money alone? So, ask yourself, does the Pigot effect work for bonds, for instance? Most bonds are loan contracts, essentially, that promise repayment of money in the future. So when the price level goes down, as an investor in bonds, aren't you better off? Suppose you've got some government bonds that promise repayment of $10,000 in a year's time. If the price level goes down, doesn't that mean that you're wealthier in real terms? So why did Pigot only talk about money and not about the much more important, quantitatively, forms of holding wealth in government bonds, in corporate bonds, in other financial assets that are denominated in terms of money? Why stick to what is probably very small when arguably other forms of wealth are more important? Can you think of a reason? I mean, it's not that he was stupid. He was a very smart economist. So there's a good reason why it's money specifically, and not other forms of wealth like bonds. Even though superficially it looks like the effect also works for bonds. Again, think of who wins and who loses. The saver, the person holding the bonds, is better off when the price level falls. Think about who has to repay the bonds. Well, if it's a company and the prices are dropping, it's harder to repay debt. So corporate profits would go down. If it's the government, it's harder to repay government debt, so taxes will go up. So in that case, there's basically a loser that cancels out the effect of the winner. So overall, it's not that people feel wealthier, it's just that some people feel wealthier and other people feel less wealthy. So overall, it's not clear that spending is going to go up in that case. Just like in the case that I crossed out, it's true, lower prices will make real wages go up. That's good for some people, it's bad for others. Overall, there isn't a positive effect. Okay, so now I've told you there's a winner and a loser when the price falls. Why can't I use the same argument to destroy the Pigot effect and say it's wrong that when P going down makes M over P go up, people feel wealthier? What's the difference between money and bonds? They have a difference of return, that's true. Can you explain why there is no loser in the Pigou effect case. In the bond case, the saver wins and the borrower loses. With the Pigou effect, the saver wins, the person holding the money wins. Who loses? There's no equivalent of a loser, because the money is never repaid, unlike bonds. So there's a very good reason why the Pigou effect only works for money. Money is the only case where there isn't an obvious loser when the price level goes down. Maybe this discussion was sort of too subtle and going too deep, but I kind of feel that I need to explain why you can't just put any number in the numerator here and say P going down makes the real value go up, therefore wealth goes up, consumption goes up. It has to be money. It can't be income, it can't be wages, it can't be bonds. It has to be money. Money is the only thing that this argument is certain to work for. So in future, do not screw up this step. I've seen so many answers that has messed up this first part of the description of the Pigou effect. Don't get that wrong. Okay, enough about basics of the aggregate demand curve. Let's apply it. I'm going to break off from the long question and work with some short questions first, just to test you out on your knowledge of the aggregate demand, aggregate supply model.